July 1st, 2014. Today's video log is going to talk about responsibility of architecture. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you that responded to our video from yesterday and thought that this was a good idea to continue. So here I am. The first question that's come in is about the responsibility of architects from a young and intelligent and talented student, Umar. Umar's here's the video responding to your question. So first of all, a few things. Responsibility and the sense of responsibility is dependent on one's value system. Value systems are based on one's understanding of a philosophical role in life of oneself, who you are, where you've come from, where you're going, and if you're living in the moment as you think would be the best for you to do. Are you a good human? Are you a good brother, a good son? Are you a good parent? Are you a responsible human being? Are you doing things for yourself and for people around you in a responsible manner, i.e. taking responsibility for your actions? I think that's what we should look at, is if architecture is an action in terms of somebody's creative expression, is it taking the onus for saying, yes, I have created the following situation, and I believe that this following situation, this environment that I have created, this experience that I have created is going to be of only positive, constructive value to the people that will use it, to the humans that will use it. Architecture is not sculpture. In all of its geometry that one must understand, its history of aesthetic, its history of the built form, it has always had a political influence, it's had reflections of spirituality, it's had philosophical elements to it. It's not just a linear mark, it's a mark that carries many, many different facets to it. And as an architect, one is responsible for understanding the role that each one of those elements of the mark we make. How important are they? How good are they? Are they doing the best that they can do? As a student, first of all, before we get to being a responsible architect, a responsible professional architect, you are responsible for guiding the information that you gather through architecture school. Tutors, professors, libraries will provide you with everything you need. It is your responsibility to make sure that you gain as much knowledge as possible, that you do all the research that is relevant, that is appropriate, above and beyond what is expected of you through your classes. Once you have inundated yourself with history, with poetry, with literature, with understanding philosophy, you read the great thinkers, you read the Socrates, you read the Plato, you read Fairs, you read Iqbal, you read cross-cultural thoughts, cross-cultural political debates. See what the West had thought about a certain idea at a certain point in time. What were the Eastern philosophers doing? What was Confucius thinking? What was Buddha thinking? You look at what was happening in the East when Mies was working and Corbu were working in Europe. What was happening in the rest of the world when the Alhambra was being built? Look at how empires were built. What was the purpose for Mughal architecture? What can we learn from it about power, about politics, about colonization, about taking over of cultures, about bringing cultures? So once you have your deck of cards, so to speak, then you will have the ability to choose which type of responsible architect you wish to be. How responsibly do you want to take your architecture? Do you want to make your career? There is no fixed set of rules that can be applied. There's no book on responsible architecture that you can pick up and do. You can build in recycled and organic and sustainable materials, or you can choose not to. You can still be responsible in both situations because there'll be other things that you'll be looking at. There will be priorities. And for you as a student, Umar, and for other CUBE students, for anybody else looking at this, it is very important that you understand where we are today. Before you start your career as an architect, where are we culturally? Where are we as people? Have you, along with studying the precedents of the history of architecture from the Western point of view, Have you looked at what's happening in the history of architecture from the Eastern point of view? What was happening in the Far East? What was happening in the Orient? What was happening in Russia? Through the history of architecture. And today, I think it's very, very important for us to understand the history of architecture that we are making in present day Pakistan. You look around at the last 100 years of architecture that has happened in Pakistan. Look at the last 65, 66 years. And find for yourself all the big names. What have they built? Have they built it responsibly? Do you think they could have done a better job? Do you think they have done the best job that they could have possibly done? Is it culturally sound? Is it appropriate for our people? Is it copy-paste? That's the one thing that as a responsible architect, you must never fall prey to. Yes, Google has access to all sorts of things for us, and bravo to the World Wide Web. I didn't have this library back in my days at architecture school, which you have now, but please use it carefully. Do not fall prey to using the term inspiration for when you are merely copying. Do not get caught into copy-paste things, into plagiarism. Be very, very careful. Make sure that you've understood the concept, understood the inspiration, and then you create your own. Understand where we come from, who we are, what our people require, what our cultures require. What our culture requires today in terms of digitization and modernization. What is contemporary Pakistan? Do we have our own language? We are responsible as architects to try and find, to define a language that is appropriate for us, for every era. There's not going to be one single language of architecture that we can apply through Pakistan throughout its life. But it will change, it will evolve. We're a young country, and so it must change and evolve. Your ideas and thoughts will change and evolve, one would hope. And yes, you are responsible. You will be responsible as I am responsible. We are all responsible to be the best architects that we can possibly be. But the learning has got to be a solid foundation. There's no quick fix to this. You must keep yourself extremely well informed. Be a responsible student of architecture first, and then start thinking about what you will be when you grow up to become a responsible architect. And look around you. See what's happening in Karachi, what's happening in Lahore, what's happening in Islamabad. There's architecture being built from Phase 8 to the Margala Hills. Look at what the big names are doing. Understand it, study it, analyze it. Bring up the questions, challenge them, ask them, talk to them, and see where you think your sense of responsibility lies in the middle of this giant world of architecture that we live in. Will you be able to deliver the best that you should, that you can, as an architect in the future? I hope that helps for now. It's a huge question that you've raised. I'm absolutely thrilled to be talking about it. We can continue this for sure, but let me know if this is a good start, and let's pick it up from here again with new set of questions maybe. Thank you.